Welcome to Drill Talks. I am really excited today because we have Steve with Grundfos, and I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. But we got to get talking about the 21st century drilling industry, the pump industry, the water industry, because the rest of the world right now is looking at water and all the importance that's going on with it. And there are so many cool things going on that I'm excited to have Steve. Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Brock. My name is Steve Frangione. I'm the regional product manager for digital and control solutions here at Grundfos. So I support the Americas, the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and even South America. So just helping our salespeople provide controls and remote monitoring solutions to some of their end users. And yeah, I've been at Grundfos for the past 3 years now, and have been in the water and wastewater industry for about 7 years.
Excellent. Controls and digital, water and digital technology, we always say they don't mix, right? We want to have this like tried true analog thing. But what are you guys up to? And obviously we need more data, right?
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for asking. There's so much going on internally at Grundfos, and I think in the industry in general, a lot of people are moving more towards automation and remote monitoring. I think uh, AI is a buzzword that you're hearing a lot now. So yeah, even internally, we have a lot of development in that sense, and that's pretty much what I'm involved in end to end, and trying to help people understand that Grundfos does have these solutions and capabilities on the remote monitoring and automation front, which can really help save time and save money on these mission critical applications. And yeah, I think a lot of people, they recognize Grundfos as a just a pump company, and rightfully so. We are the largest pump manufacturer in the world. I think we're producing over 16 million pumps globally per year. So a pretty substantial number of pumping products going out. But one thing that I don't think a lot of people are fully aware of is that we do have a range of controllers and remote monitoring service, which can help enhance the performance of these pumping systems as well. So that's what we're here to talk about today, and just want to spread some awareness of some of the trends that we're seeing, and some of the solutions that we've introduced to the market, and kind of what we have up our sleeve as well.
Very cool. You're absolutely right. Though we've been very analog and we need pumps. I mean, water drives our civilization, but all of the digital aspects, and then you start thinking about AI, and we see all this data gathering happening. What are you excited about? What are you going to share with us today? I hear these buzzwords about Grundfos Connect, and you think of this from all these other different angles, and that's kind of how I reached out to you and said, "Hey, I want to learn some more about how do we get into the 21st century? What's going on?"
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have our own remote monitoring and control platform called Grundfos Connect. It's a web-based, cellular-based remote monitoring and control software that can connect to really any sort of pumping application or any control system, and it can be new or existing. So it is pretty flexible in terms of what it can fit into, and how scalable it actually is. But the the software can really connect to anything and give you data insights on how that system is performing. And then on the other side, it'll provide you with instantaneous alarm notifications upon any critical event, just to help you maintain that station over time. The main goal of really any of our controls or digital solutions is to provide you with more data, so you can make better decisions ahead of time, and react or even predict when things are going to fail. So you can take precautions and fix them ahead of time before they actually get to the point of failure. And this can really free up a lot of time for you. If you're just kind of working in a reactive framework, then and this happens a lot with the operators and installers that we deal with, is they're just putting fires out as they pop up. But with advanced data and insights in how your system is performing over time, um, you can actually carry out this maintenance before it gets that within your normal working hours. Because as we both know, when does this equipment fail? It's not usually during your 9 to 5 working hours. It's usually on the weekends or Friday night, and then sending out or dispatching an operator can be very costly and time consuming. So having advanced data in the palm of your hand ahead of time can allow you to mitigate some of those costs and time spent otherwise.
It's hot right now. We've just had 2, 3 weeks of the hottest weather possible. And as I hear about this and the operator, I think of big pump companies and municipalities and the the big stakes and bandwidth that we need. But I guess my two questions here, one, like I can see the beauty of seeing the trend of what's happening, and then we have this massive heat wave. If you had a
Yeah.
failure coming, now you kind of had some tall tale signs to beat it before this, we got into this bad weather. And the second thing, uh, how about our medium-sized pump companies and farmers and residentials? How does this apply in there? Can they use this too?
Yeah, and really it applies, as I mentioned before, to any sort of application, really end to end. And we have customers, kind of like you mentioned, on the municipal side, using it for booster stations, providing in water distribution networks. We have groundwater customers using this on private water supplies, and even farmers to monitor and control their irrigation systems to make sure they have constant, continuous water supply in these mission critical applications. And it doesn't just stop there. Anybody who has a need for protecting valuable assets or equipment or even valuable resources like water, which pertains to anyone, could have a need for having this sort of remote monitoring and control platform on their applications.
So if I'm a medium-sized pump company that's got some big farm customers, maybe a small municipality, and I'm wanting to monitoring, what am I looking for? What, as a pump company, what am I able to tell my customer about?
Yeah, so this sort of system applies to a wide range of challenges that our end users could face. And it could be from lack of water supply, or maybe their pumps are burning up and they just want more insights onto why that could be happening. And we had a customer come to us at a water show just this past week with an issue at a booster station that they had. So, the booster station was 3 hours away from any of their offices. It was way up in the mountains, so it's pretty tough to get to. And the pumps kept burning up, and they were able to actually go out there and meter the incoming power to see that one of the legs was so far unbalanced that it was actually causing pumping problems and burning up their pumps. So um, what they did is they had the power company come out and take a look at the incoming power. And of course, at the time they were out there, they didn't really notice any issues with the power. So it's not about having monitoring at one specific point in time. It's continuous 24/7. So it can show you and give you insight as to when these errors are actually occurring. So for this actual customer, what we had recommended was to hook up one of our motor protection and power monitors, which can monitor three phase or single phase incoming power 24/7. and then give you trending information in Grundfos Connect, and it'll actually show you when these issues are occurring and sort of prove to the power company that there is an issue, so then they can take the necessary steps to resolve these issues on their time and on their expense.
And that's, as a third generation driller and have installed many pumps in my lifetime, and then working with Suez and Veolia, uh, it is really hard to see where a failure comes from, or the time that is lost in waiting to see, as you're doing just a preventative maintenance test to, this thing was working great. What could have possibly, we just blame Mother Nature or user error, and it's hard
Right.
to differentiate.
Yeah, exactly. And there's extreme value in having the remote monitoring capabilities. Of course, there's a bunch of ways to automate your system, but without having the insight and being able to see that information remotely, you're still going to have to spend time troubleshooting at the site, which, as this could take days, even weeks, to find a solution just trying to troubleshoot something on site. And that's another um, kind of benefit of having a remote monitoring and control solution like this, is that you have the data in the palm of your hand. You can look at these trends, you can look at run times and amp draw, and see how the system is performing over time or leading up to a critical event. Um, then it gives you alarm notifications, and it's usually not just one leading up to a critical event. It could be a series of alarms. And that way you know exactly what the problem is before you even get out to the site. So you can bring the tools, you can bring the equipment that you need prior to even going out to the site, and avoid a lot of the time that you would spend otherwise, back and forth, trying to troubleshoot, going back to the hardware store, getting the equipment that you need, calling your pump manufacturer to, also help you troubleshoot. So this is really enabling the end user to make some decisions and optimize their system on their own.
It just dawned through to me. I grew up with horses and cattle, and then getting to work in municipal water, but I maybe it's because it says the heat index right now is 100 in Michigan. But like, the fact that I could plan my maintenance or prevent that catastrophic failure, because obviously livestock, I mean, all pieces of this, from irrigation to, golf course irrigation, to people to livestock, like, if we fail right now and it takes me 2 to 3 days to get that water system up and going as it's 100 out, and the lows at night are in the mid 80s, it's dangerous. And that's kind of a great value. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to think of what are the alternatives if my system fails and I don't have water. What could be the results of this? And that puts it more in the mission critical, mind frame, where it's it's worth it to have something monitoring your system 24/7 and providing you the data that you really couldn't do without this sort of technology. And that's one of the things. It's important to just take advantage of the technology that we have today. A lot of these systems were, they're installed maybe 10 to 20 years ago, where some of this web-based technology that we have today wasn't even available. So I still think there is, we have to do what we can to spread the awareness that this stuff is out there, and then make it understood how easy it is to integrate it. It You don't necessarily have to upgrade your existing control system to get these sort of valuable data insights in the palm of your hand. There's and Grundfos offers devices which can piggyback onto to existing systems, um, which can be, cost-effective ways to get remote monitoring and control capabilities instead of having to upgrade, your entire existing control system. So that that's another thing that we want people to understand is that it's so easy to use and to integrate with today's technology, that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to integrate this into an existing system.
So let's talk about that. Data predominantly as we've increased over the years, some of it's easy to install. And we say, hey, no problem if I am a computer scientist or a guru working, at Grundfos HQ. But really, like, let's go back to and putting this on a farm right now. What would the steps look like for a pump company to one? I think we have the value add here of preventing, maintenance issues. And I'm even starting to think about the life cycle of that entire system and being able to plan out what my costs are going to be. But what does installation look like? How much training do I need? What extra tools? What type of person am I going to have to bring on to be able to fully embrace this really cool Grundfos Connect?
Yeah, so the hardware that's required to get an existing system online is pretty minimal. We have, and you might see one of them behind me in the middle, in the top there. It's a device that we call the CIU 901. It's essentially an RTU that can piggyback onto an existing installation. It has a handful of inputs available, so you can tie in like hardwired sensors or even an auxiliary contact from a motor contactor to monitor, run times and starts and stops of that pump. We have a customer in Southeast Georgia who manages close to 400 private water well systems, and they spend a lot of time on the road. They have about 3 or 4 operators to maintain 400 systems, and as you can imagine, this can be pretty difficult and time consuming to visit and travel to and visit all of these sites at once. So they were looking for a way to get some of this data, be able to monitor and control these systems remotely to save time. And that's exactly what we did. We integrated into their existing systems with using one of these CIU 901s. This customer also is doing some dosing chlorine into their system, so they can actually pull in a chlorine analyzer signal to see the rate at which they're dosing as well. They've also hooked up our motor protection unit to monitor the incoming 3-phase power at their systems. They've told us that the incoming power in general can be a little dirty. It's not always quality power coming into these stations, so that can cause issues with the motors and the pumps burning up. So they put the motor protection unit so they can monitor 3-phase voltage and current and energy consumption, and then they can trend this stuff over time as well. So it doesn't take much to integrate this into an existing system and optimize that system, like with pretty minimal amount of hardware included. So this particular customer, all it took was the CIU 901. We have a cellular modem that goes inside of that, and then there's an antenna, and they also use our MP204 and tied those signals in there. And that was really about it as far as the installation goes out in the field.
It's interesting to talk about our electric grid and the fluctuation, because what we don't really realize right now is we're due for about a $1 to $2 trillion upgrade, to our mass power generation system across the US. And you start looking at excessive heat, extreme weather, all of these pieces, from additional waterers coming on from livestock to
Sure.
homes using sprinklers and slip and slides and more water. and then the heating and cooling aspect. And of course, we're seeing three phase, getting a little wonky. And this is a major value add because we've our infrastructure needs an upgrade, and it's not necessarily protecting our core pumps and all of these pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times it's out of the hands of the end user on the water system, and we're relying on the power providers to actually give you some clean power to avoid some breakdowns. So without having a way to monitor this stuff continuously, there's no real way to troubleshoot and pinpoint the root cause of what might be causing your pump to fail.
So, thinking of the record keeping and reporting for maybe a owner of this well, let's say it's a golf course or a farmer, what are they getting out of it? We've talked about the pump company and the maintenance aspect, but what are they in the record keeping? What are they seeing as a value add to them?
Yeah, exactly. There's a built-in report feature in Grundfos Connect where you can set up automated reports, and you can set the frequency for when you want to receive these. You can also select the data points that you want to be shown in this report. So if you want to see how much flow or volume is being pumped or pulled from the ground in a particular application, that can all be monitored and pulled in to Grundfos Connect and then spit out in a report on a regular basis, which is set by the user. And as you know, that is something that that these environmental agencies are looking for more and more. They want to see the usage at a lot of these well water or these water well sites. So that's a huge benefit of this type of system is being able to spit that out on a regular basis. Already in an Excel format, you can do some further manipulation from there, but for the most part, all of the data that you need to even hand over to like the EPA is already available in these reports.
I just discussed this on one of the previous newscasts. The president right now has hydrogeologists looking at strategic water reserves throughout the country. And we're starting to see thresholds of what can you pump per day, where we have been used to as irrigation or private, that's our water, that's our groundwater. You know, we pump what we need, or maybe we pump more than we need. And now those questions are up, how much pump time do you have? What are you withdrawing? So this is great. What else are you excited about? What do you see in the future of being able to report, or, what's the next level of this look like?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things you can do from this starting point of being able to collect some more data. Um, Grundfos Connect is something it's under continuous development in terms of it's always getting better. We're always adding in new features. Some of the things that we're looking at down the road is to build in some more advanced data analytics to provide you with more insights, and maybe even make some decisions for you, or recommendations on when to carry out maintenance or when to even operate based on how much water is available in a particular area. So those are some of the things that we kind of have in the pipeline, and always getting smarter and adding features to Grundfos Connect to make it more user friendly and enhance the user experience.
Beyond the value adds we have right now and what we're learning, what could we really do as we bring in this data and start looking at a full picture?
Yeah, I think some of the things we have in the pipeline and looking into more advanced data analytics, providing more insights and recommendations, such as if you have a system with multiple wells, um, they can actually communicate to each other back and forth and provide a recommendation on which well to pull water from based on the levels in the other wells. I mean, there's loads of stuff that you can do once you have the field devices and controllers or gateways connected in the field, even as far as, providing information or recommendations on when to operate the pumps based on the power load. If if there's certain times when the incoming power is, on average, is kind of out of whack, then maybe we don't want to operate our pumps. We want to save our critical assets from operating during those times of poor quality incoming power. And that's one thing that can also kind of increase the life cycle of the products out in the field.
I, you've just blown my mind because, working in municipal water and understanding rural well fields. So if we look at the municipal water throughout the US, about 10% of all the systems feed 88% of our country. So there's another 90% out there that are much smaller, much more just possibilities of being inadequate or underserved or all of these pieces. So we're talking about, I have, instead of a well field of 15 wells, maybe I have a well field of 3. I'm in rural Georgia or in the mountains of Tennessee. And one, I need to make sure everything's reliable because it's 100 degrees outside. But two, not only am I now able to see my pumping system and what's happening with my motor and my reliability there, but if it's able to speak, and let's say well 3 isn't recovering as well as it had, and so
Yeah.
now we're using a trend of blending between well 1 and 2. I've also just told my system that, hey, we're heading towards a point of, one inefficient well, not only because of the pump, which maybe the pump burns up because we didn't have well recovery like we were supposed to, but two, I need to get in there and do a maintenance program on, redeveloping that well and all of those pieces. So this is huge when you think of life cycle management of not only the entire life of the well, the pump being the heart, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're telling me we can look at the entire body and know what's going on if I got something wrong, in the top 15 feet of my production zone on my screen or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, the sky is really the limit in terms of the data analytics that we can provide once the system is connected. Once you have accurate data coming into your network, then that's really when you can provide these more advanced analytics.
It's like you have a choice between your vehicle saying, hey, your oil life is on 0, or, our more newer vehicles versus just that yellow check engine light that you just ignore until the engine seizes. We can now be proactive and on top of these things.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's a good way to think about this type of system, is it is sort of a check engine feature for these critical assets, but with more enhanced, decision making as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and this is sort of the stuff that you can expect to see coming down, in the near future.
That is awesome. Okay, last question, and I'm throwing you a curveball here. You work in this really cool role at Grundfos. You're, the average age of our industry is like 58, right? You're a young guy.
Yeah.
How much fun is it working for a company that is just pushing the edge on innovation? Are you having fun?
Oh yeah. I mean, our team's having a blast. It's pretty amazing stuff that we have going on, and if you think of just where technology is at in general, even at a consumer level, everybody is used to having access to data. Everybody is used to going on their phone and ordering groceries, or ordering a product on Amazon or online, and now you can actually monitor your pumping equipment online in the palm of your hand, and it's only getting better. And we're getting a lot of feedback from users on how we can actually make a more universal system and make it better in the future. So, that's all part of the experience, and it's awesome to be a part of this movement. And like I said, it's really only getting better, and we can expect to see some pretty exciting stuff in the future.
So we've talked about this cutting edge technology. It's in the field, it's proven, it's having success stories. If I'm a pump company right now, or I'm a farmer that's come across this, or an end user of any sort, how do I learn more? Who do I want to reach out to?
Yeah, of course. There's a bunch of different ways for these personas to get involved and learn more. Of course, they can always go to our main site, grundfos.com. They can search for Grundfos Connect, and it'll direct them to the landing page that we have for this, where they can find, they can book a demo, they can access tutorial videos on how to, navigate the system. We have some case stories available there, and then we have some, fun quizzes and games where it's like an energy saving calculator. They can go in and punch in how much time they're actually spending on the road, and then you can see the savings immediately on, if you had this system out in the field, what that would look like. So, there's that available. We're getting involved. We're doing a lot of what we call pump house events. So these are typically leading up to like a trade show or right before a trade show. But they're all spread out throughout the country. I would recommend anyone who's interested in attending to learn more about some of the products that we have. Get in touch with a preferred pump rep, or your Grundfos rep, and then we can send you some more information on some of these events. And as always, we're at the main trade show. We'll have some stuff on display at Jubilee. We'll also be at NGWA again, and we'll have the stuff on display. So if you don't get a chance to sign in online or check us out at one of the pump house events, then you can always visit us at the shows in person, and we'll get you what you need.
I suggest going to the shows in person, Jubilee or NGWA, because your booth is always just there's so much activity and everybody's having fun, and like it's it's almost FOMO not to go over and check out what's going on and hang out and
Yeah,
see all the
it
cool.
really is. It really is. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, there's a few different ways you can get involved, and I'll share some links here that people can tune in and get some more information.
Well, excellent. I'm going to give you a chance for any parting advice. I One thing that I just took away as I've been listening is, I've been talking about downtime and water, conservation and all these pieces, and then you just slapped me right in the head with the like savings from road time to, electricity bills and that whole piece, and that's a major value add on top of everything else.
It is for sure, and that's one thing that sets us apart is we have the full range of technology and other accessories and products that pair up with this remote monitoring to enhance your experience and enhance the performance of these systems out in the field. Of course, there's a lot of remote monitoring solutions and alternatives out there. I think that one of the things that really sets Grundfos apart from even just like the local integrators who are providing this sort of monitoring service is that we are the largest pump manufacturer in the world. We have a full range of controls and digital solutions engineered and geared towards these water applications. It's not just something designed for one region, or something that's just supposed to connect to one application. And then the other thing is that our products are tested and trusted globally. So we're using these across the world. It doesn't work in just one location. It works everywhere, and it has to. So we go through all of that testing and all of those protocols to make sure that it fits the need globally. Another thing that I would encourage people to do is to do what they can to look into automating your system, and just make the small changes. A little bit can go a long way. And even just going from, a pressure switch on your system to a 4 to 20 pressure transducer, providing you with more data, providing you with more insight. Those little bits can go a long way in terms of, how you're able to troubleshoot your system, how you can enhance the performance. So yeah, that's just my recommendation, and I always advocate people to look into what technology is out there, and how they can make little improvements, which can have like life-changing results. And we really do think Grundfos Connect is one of those things.
I'll leave us with this statistic when we think about global water versus global data. In 2010 is where we hit 2/3 of the world's population had a cell phone, which is wild to think of. Is that, 2 out of 3 people had a cell phone and was using that information. At the same time, only 1 out of 3 people had access to clean water or stable, sustainable water. And now you're talking about connecting data directly to our water sources. And then from a global perspective, there's so much for us to learn and do and to sustain where we hit 10.5 billion people on this planet. It's cool. You're getting to do some really cool stuff, man.
Yeah, definitely. And that's almost a disturbing statistics. I mean, it's sad that not everyone has access to clean water, but with technology and the way things are going, we're hoping to change that and make it more accessible.
Well, thanks for your time today, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, this was great. Really appreciate it, Brock.
Thanks. Thank you for joining our Drill Talk. If you'd like to know more about our guests, please click on their logo and go to their website. To find more Drill Talks, go to thedriller.com. Please subscribe there for unlimited access to this series, the latest news impacting the drilling and water industry, original columns from drilling professionals like you, and so much more. Drilling into topics that matter most to you is what compels us at thedriller.com to go deeper. Thanks again.